And now a final set from our studio guest, Andy Irvine.
In Vanessa's green forest, out under the trees, we'd lie on our backs, we'd live at our ease. We'd wake in the morning at the first shafts of day and watch the shy deer as they scampered away. We'd rise from our warm beds as the sun it got higher and cook up our breakfast on a sweet scented fire. In the still early morning, a cool, gentle breeze, the echo of woodpeckers rings through the trees. We'd sit in our glade till the heat of the day, walk down to the zoo to sing and to play. Well, the money rolled in and the people looked on. When the hat was quite full, we'd up and be gone. In Dernbavitsa tavern, we spent money free and drank to our friends where'er they may be. We'd talk of old times, fond memories we'd trade. At dusk we'd walk home to Vanessa's green glade.
Irvine with Vanessa's Green Glade. Not a song I know, Andy.
Well, it's a song I wrote a long time ago, Jim. Back in, '68, I travelled to the Balkans. Everybody was going somewhere. Most people were going to India and Nepal and kind of Beatles, Maharishi, drugs type stuff. But I went to the Balkans, which was at that time fairly unknown. And Banasa Forest is a forest outside Bucharest where I stayed for about 3 months. The reason I stayed there is, let's put it down to the fact that I was waiting for news of a visa from the Romanian Tourist Board, and they were not being compliant. So I was there hanging out for a long time, and I wrote that song because I wanted to remember the kind of peacefulness of the forest, and I think for me it works. Every time I do it, I can transport myself back to Banasa Forest.
Mm. Well, you were with us, 3 or 4 weeks ago, talking about My Kind of Folk, so we've covered your career pretty well.
Oh, yes. I can see I won't get a job at the BBC for years.
Yes. What have you got planned for the future? Anything big coming up?
Not that I know of. I do have... I have one track. The first track that I played is on a forthcoming CD, which I have some hopes for, because it's a CD called... it's got one of those names, like it's called Celtic Voices, Common Ground, and as you might suppose, like The World and His Wife is on it. There's Bono, Sinead O'Connor. I mean, there's household names galore, and I think that might, I'm expecting a certain amount of success out of that. But apart from that, I just completed a very, very enjoyable UK tour. Nothing, a couple of big gigs, yes, but the bread and butter gigs in folk clubs, I still enjoy them, I remember one night I drove away through the night, as I usually do, and I was thinking of the gig and how I'd hit really good form in the second set, and how the audience had picked up on it, and how I'd been better again the next number, and they'd liked that even better, and I thought, yes, this is all I need. Okay, it's self-gratification, but it's on a small level, and it's for me, it's success, and I'm a contented man.
That's really good to hear. Right. What are you going to finish with, Andy?
I'm going to finish with a song called John Barlow, which is it's a version of Willie Winsbury, which of course is an old traditional ballad, but this I got this from recording. I never met the man, a man called Robert Cinnamond, who came from County Antrim, and I loved the way he sang it. But as you'll hear, I've given it what dear old Bert Lloyd would have called the Balkan lift by putting it into 7/8 time. There was a lady lived in the West, and she was dressed in green, and she's leaned over her father's castle wall to watch the ship sail in. What is wrong with you? Her father, he did say, you look so pale and wan. Oh, have you had any sore sickness, or yet been sleeping with a man? I have not had any sore sickness, but I'm in love with a young man, and the only thing that breaks my heart is what keeps my darling so long. Is he a lord or a squire or a knight or a man of noted fame, or is he one of my serving men that's lately come out of Spain? He is not a lord, nor a squire, nor a knight, nor a man of noted fame, but he is young John from the Isle of send him down, the saucy clown. Oh, send him down unto me. For if he is thinking to gain my daughter's hand, he must leave this country. Oh, Father dear, now don't be severe, and don't be cruel unto me. For if you banish young John Barlow, you will get no good of me. But the king has sent for his merry, merry men, and his merry men 33. And instead of young John being the very first one, the very last one came he. He entered the room, young John Barlow, and the clothes that he wore were of silk, and his two blue eyes like the morning sky, and his skin was as white as milk. It is no wonder the king he did say, my daughter's in love with thee. For had I been a woman as I am a man, my bedfellow you would have been. Will you wed my daughter, he said, will you take her by the hand? And will you wed my daughter, he said, and be lord over all my land? Oh, I will wed your daughter, he said, but she's not a match for me. For every pound that she can count down, I can count 33. He's mounted her on a milk-white steed, himself on a dapple grey, and he's made her a lady of as much land as she could ride in a long summer's day.
And the Irvine